Okay, let's unpack this. The future of software development, as we understand it, it's really undergoing a radical transformation, and AI is right there, front and center. Today, we're going deep into the vision laid out by GitHub CEO Thomas Dohmke, exploring how AI is, well, redefining the developer's role, moving way beyond just automation into this world of intelligent agents.
Yeah, and what's really striking, I think, is how Domke's vision isn't just about, shiny new tools. It forces us to reevaluate what coding itself even means. It's about fundamentally reshaping the skills that are going to be critical for developers. That's a huge shift.
It really is. And to get a sense of the scale here, it helps to look back a bit. Dohmke mentioned his own early days, coding back in the 90s, dealing with what he called the muddy history of version control. Saving code in V1, V2 folders, wrestling with CVS or subversion.
Oh yeah, those days. Clunky is an understatement.
Exactly. So GitHub's arrival in 2008 was, well, revolutionary. A fast browser interface, simplified repositories, and then, critically, the invention of the pull request. What does that history tell us about these big shifts we keep seeing?
Well, connecting the dots, GitHub wasn't just about hosting code, was it? It really engineered modern developer collaboration. The repository itself, like Dohmke said, was the sort of primitive that let this whole collaborative ecosystem flourish. It fundamentally changed how people work together, across open source, across enterprises.
Right, a central home for decentralized Git. And building on that foundation, then we got GitHub Copilot. This wasn't out of the blue, right? It leveraged foundational models like the Transformer, OpenAI's GPT-3, specifically Codex, fine-tuned on tons of open source code. Microsoft's partnership was key there. And suddenly you had this, magic auto-completion, not just the next word, but whole lines of code, boilerplate, even test cases sometimes. Dohmke talks about keeping developers in the editor, maintaining flow state, and every developer gets that instantly. The cost of switching context, browser, docs, chat, it's huge, isn't it?
It absolutely is, which, makes you wonder, how did a tool that seemed like just fancy auto-completion have such a massive productivity impact? It wasn't just speed.
No.
It was about cutting down that cognitive friction, letting developers stay focused on the bigger picture, the problem solving, the design, instead of getting bogged down in syntax. It let them translate ideas into code more directly.
So Copilot was maybe the first step. What's the next evolution Dohmke sees? He talks about specialized AI agents under this Copilot umbrella, things like a coding agent, a code review agent, an auto-fix agent.
Right.
And he uses this metaphor. The human developer becomes less of a hands-on coder and more of a manager or conductor leading an orchestra of agents. But what are the real practical challenges there? Does that orchestra metaphor hold up?
Well, that's where it gets tricky, doesn't it? Shifting from a helper tool to an orchestrator brings in a whole new paradigm and, challenges too. Dohmke points out a critical new skill, figuring out when to give a task to an agent versus just doing it yourself. Understanding diminishing returns, asking an agent for just 3 lines might not be worth it.
Makes sense.
Plus, you've got debugging agent code, security, compliance, just trusting these non-deterministic systems. It's not just about what the agents can do, but how we manage and, frankly, govern them. It requires more strategic thinking, breaking problems down differently.
Okay, so let's dig into how one of these agents, say the coding agent, actually works. Dohmke explained it sort of mimics a human developer. It spins up a VM, checks out the code, installs dependencies, generates a chain of thought to figure out the problem, and then submits the code as a pull request, descriptions and all, just like a team member would. But he also calls the multi-agent space the Wild West right now, especially agent-to-agent or agent-to-tool communication. How do you get accuracy, consistency?
Right, that's the big hurdle. Non-deterministic outputs are inherent. And that's where things like agency.org come in. They're trying to build this internet of agents, basically a collaboration layer with standards, discovery tools to try and tame that Wild West, make agents work together more reliably across different frameworks.
And technically, what's enabling this interaction?
So Dohmke mentioned the MCP, the Model Context Protocol pioneered by Anthropic. It's significant because it gives models a standard way to understand and use external tools and environments. Just like a human uses a terminal, searches code, compiles things.
Okay.
The feedback loop, always critical in software, now becomes this human-agent collaboration within the PR. But, and this is important, we need to be realistic about performance. Dohmke mentioned the SWE benchmarks.
Yeah.
Showing maybe 60-70% success for Python tasks, but drop down to like 30% for multi-language stuff. He's clear. There's still a lot of work to do before agents can reliably handle all the tests, docs, vulnerability fixes at scale.
Okay, so agents are handling more coding, but not everything yet. What about non-coders? Can they use these agents effectively? Dohmke suggested yes for simpler things. He called it vibe coding.
Vibe coding, yeah. Like generating images, but for simple software. Iterating with prompts to get a quick web page, maybe a little browser game. Focus on the outcome, the vibe, less on the strict code.
He also flagged the diminishing returns, right? If you don't understand the underlying language or CS concepts, you hit a wall pretty fast. A prompt just won't cut it.
Exactly. Which underscores why professional developers are still crucial. You absolutely need to understand what the agent generated, make sure it fits team practices, uses the right database, doesn't introduce security holes.
So if natural language is becoming this, universal programming language, what does that mean for traditional CS education?
That's a huge question. The core CS concepts, system design, they're still vital, maybe even more so. The developer's job shifts, perhaps, from translating ideas line by line into code to being really good at breaking down complex problems into chunks agents can handle. It's more about designing the system, orchestrating it.
That's a different skill set.
It is. It requires strategic thinking, problem decomposition skills that maybe aren't always the main focus now.
And looking bigger picture, GitHub has this incredibly ambitious goal, grow from 150 million developers to 1 billion. Dohmke says it's not just about pros, but empowering everyone to build software, not just consume it. Like CS should be standard, like math.
It's a powerful vision, democratizing creation. Events like GitHub Universe and Galaxy, the innovation graph data, they're all part of building that community and understanding how innovation spreads.
But does that scale raise quality concerns? Dilution of skills, over-reliance on AI, maybe stifling fundamental human innovation?
It's a valid concern, absolutely. Dohmke believes AI empowers more builders, doesn't replace them. But yes, democratizing creation means redefining expertise. Maybe we see a future where really groundbreaking stuff still needs deep human ingenuity, creating a sort of new elite developer, while agents handle more common tasks. Managing that huge, diverse ecosystem will be the challenge.
So, wrapping up, the core takeaway seems to be it's complex. The future isn't no coding, but maybe less line-by-line coding and much more strategic direction, prompt engineering, critical oversight, using AI agents as powerful collaborators, but collaborators that still need guidance.
Precisely. And here's something to think about. If being able to clearly articulate a problem in natural language truly becomes the most valuable programming skill, what kind of completely new avenues does that open up for interdisciplinary innovation? And how does technical education fundamentally adapt to train this next generation of, conductors for an AI orchestra?